Money, money, money. Money is at the back of every person's mind who is trying to start up a business. Grace Woj talks about goats. Grace Woj is farming goats. And at the back of it all, my target is to earn money from the goats. Are you new to our channel? Please hit the subscription button and also don't forget to ring that bell. Our topic for discussion today, the financial tips one needs to have or to know of before they start goat farming. Quite a number of you start goat farming as a side hustle, thinking that it will not cost you financially or it does not need a lot of capital. We are going to talk about the best financial tips every new goat farmer should know of. As a beginning goat farmer, some of the things that you should know of when you're starting this business that are going to cost you money. One of them is knowledge search. A number of us, especially Ugandans, when you tell somebody that when you're searching for knowledge, you must pay something. You must pay for data. You must pay consultation fees. You must pay for farm visits. All these cost money. So one aspect of goat farming that costs money, even before you start, is knowledge search. But now Uganda, when you go to a consultant, dear Ugandans, learn how to pay for consultation services. What you forget that even the people you are consulting, they take time and money to get this knowledge and pass it on to you. If you happen to visit a farm and maybe the gate fee for that farm is like 50,000, why don't you pay that 50,000 so that you can acquire that knowledge? Actually, even if the person has not asked you for the money, tip them off to give them the motivation to always dig for more knowledge for you guys. For instance, I know farmers who have traveled to Kenya, they have traveled to South Africa, they have traveled to Netherlands, all in search of knowledge. And actually, when you look closely, these people who travel to search for that knowledge are among the best farmers we have all over the world. So what stops you from searching for that knowledge? What stops you from paying a little fee for that knowledge? Please, farmers, Temwe Salakonja will do that. The best you can do for us is watch our channel and at least subscribe to our channel always. As a farmer who is looking for knowledge, at least when you're budgeting, put knowledge search as a cost of its own even before you divulge into any farming venture. So always ensure that you plan for this knowledge search. It always costs money. You may not pay money, but you may be able to buy data to go on YouTube, travel, whatever it is, it will need money. Financial tips still, land. You must plan for the land. Where are you going to farm? How are you going to acquire it? And for what purpose? What is the land size you're going to acquire? All these must be looked into because it's going to be a financial implication. You visit farms like in Rakai here, there are people who have idle farmland. Okay, it may not necessarily be idle. Maybe they are farming on cows, and for you, you can put in the idea of farming goats there. Why goats there? Because the goats and the cows, there is no direct competition for feeding. Remember, the cows are majorly grazers, and the goats are majorly browsers. So there is no direct competition for the feeds. So look out for those farms. Maybe they have sheep, maybe they have cows alone. Sell to them the idea that you can hire the land. Most Ugandans would gladly hire out the land. But remember, when you are hiring it out land, ensure you do everything the legal way. Let us change the narrative that only people with big pieces of land can do goat farming. Even somebody with a half an acre, somebody with a quarter an acre can do the farming as long as you have space where you can keep those goats. Our viewers, we are still discussing the financial tips that one needs to start with as a goat farmer. When we dig in further, the goat house. The goat houses come in different shapes. They come in different sizes. Assuming you wanted to construct a goat house that at least can take in a minimum of 50 goats, that will cost you between 3.5 million to 7.5 million. The price is differing. Why? Because different people, different areas, different countries use different materials. I, for one, when you look at my farm, I didn't buy most of the wood I have at the farm. So I found it cheap to construct most of the infrastructure at the farm because we had an eucalyptus forest at the farm. But some of you cannot have access to this. You can choose the other locally available materials. For example, papyrus can do the thatching. You can also try the grass to do the roofing. You can also try matundubali, taplin. Taplin is like 30,000 in most shops. Try out those locally available materials. What matters here is for you to start. So whatever your start was, you'll always have a beautiful ending. So ensure that you don't waste a lot of money on a goat house. These are some of the mistakes most of you face, that you realize somebody has constructed a huge house of roughly 17.5 million. Then time for stocking goats, they stock goats for 1 million. You are already on the track to failing your project from the beginning. So make sure your finances are checked out right before you start. These are financial tips, and we are still at Voji Farms. The other tip is always ensure that you budget for the worker's house. These goats are not going to be looked after by themselves. They must be somebody, and this person must sleep comfortably. So usually a worker's house costs between 2.5 to 3.5, depending on the kind of materials you have used. My workers up to now, Siri Mukodo, but I cannot afford their house at the moment, but they are still staying in a Wato house. But it's very comfortable, very beautiful inside. It also has a solar on. So what stops you from starting the same the way I started? You don't have to start expensive. Also ensure that you budget for their food and salaries. These are some of the mistakes. These topics I'm talking about, these are things that affect us as farmers, because most of you start these projects blindly. You burn out in the middle of it all and you want to end the project. Always budget for salaries and their food. So assuming you started with 50 goats, 50 goats can be looked after by one person. So our minimum salary, we always give our people, especially if they have just come at the farm, we give them 150,000 for starters. And then we also include their food. So roughly when you add up the costs per month, let's put it at 200,000 per person. But you can also chip in for the medical, because often they are injured on the farm, they get malaria, they get several other illnesses. You have to chip in so that they get some kakilini money when they are at your farm, and also to rule out issues of high staff turnover at your farm. So make sure prior to starting as a new goat farmer, make sure you have a plan. Omusala gw'abakozi n'emmere ogenda bijjawa for the first 12 months. Don't be like some of us who started, that when workers started asking for money, would always promise them. That is one of the mistakes I made, and I don't want some other person to repeat the same, because it affected me in one way or the other. I lost one of the best workers by that time because I couldn't pay them on time. So ensure you plan for their salaries early on time and also their food. You may choose that you don't want to buy the food. You may choose to say, I'm going to create a partition somewhere on my farm where somebody else plants their food. Don't make them plant their food. Every time you make them plant their food, they own it up and then they spend more time on the food instead of grazing. Your goats are looking after the goats. Farmers, let's weigh in. What I'm discussing, does it make sense to you? Have you done what we have discussed? All you are doing your own things. There is always room for changing or making things better. Start now and make things better for your farm. Still on the financial tips, one other last point is about the toolkit. This toolkit has a number of drugs that you should buy prior to beginning, at least a month or a week prior to stocking your goat. Would you imagine that a goat also needs first aid? Also, when you stock your own toolkit at the farm, there are some costs, underlying costs that you cut off. You reduce, the cost of production lowers. It usually costs between 350,000 to 400,000. Why am I emphasizing a toolkit? There are some infections that may come at your farm and they don't need immediate veterinary services. For example, a goat has gotten an eye infection, a goat has gotten a diarrhea, a goat has flu, it has flu. You don't need to invite a vet all the time. These things bino musobola obyemalira obusongasonga obutini ng'obwo mubwemalirenga ku farm nga temuyise bantu balala, because at the end of the day, every time you invite other people in, the cost of production goes up. So usually what should be included in this toolkit, they are antibiotics, inflammatories, acaricides, they are multivitamins. Always consult veterinary officials prior to buying this toolkit for your farm. And then our last point on the financial tips. This is the most interesting bit, very exciting bit of goat stocking. You have done all the other nitty-gritty. The other last part is goat stocking. How many goats are you going to stock? Which breed are you going to stock? This, before you divulge in, you should have made a decision on. Usually, I always advise farmers that the minimum number one should start with should be at least 50 goats. 50 goats make commercial sense. What do I mean by commercial sense? Basically, at any one given time, if you brought in 50 goats and one male, it means within the next 6 months, you'll be having between 100 to 120 goats. Who wouldn't want to have that? So the magic here is to know where to buy from your goats, at what price, but ensure that if you are stocking goats, do not go to the markets. Goats in the markets are very enticing, but I wouldn't advise you to go there. So usually in our markets, especially the local breeds, they usually range between 200,000 to 350, depending from which farm, depending from how far from Kampala, depending on the quality you are finding at the farm. So the prices always vary at any given time, any given farm. Here at Bwogi Farms, our local goats go for 250 to 350 anytime, any day. I can't thank you enough for watching Bwogi Farms. We pledge to continue giving you all the content about goat farming. Just keep it on Bwogi Farms. And please do not forget to subscribe and also ring that bell.